Do you still think LSD is your problem child?
In some respects, yes, but it is changing from problem child again to wonder child, as it was at the very beginning.
And why is that?
It means now one has discovered the properties, the useful properties of LSD. It has been used in psychoanalysis as an aid in psychoanalysis to open the person, and to patients who had no more were inhibited and could no more act. They were opened by LSD, and that was a very useful aid for the first 10 years. Until then, it came prohibited.
Mm-hmm. So with time, people have learned to use LSD as a tool, as opposed to misuse it as
That is true, yes. At the very beginning, especially in the United States, when it was said that millions of Americans has taken LSD, it was very often used without the necessary care. Mm-hmm. And there were accidents and terrible things happened. And this has changed. People have learned now to use LSD, not only in the medicine, but also in the streets. Mm-hmm. And that is means that we have no more, or practically no more accidents.
And how has LSD changed your life?
Oh, I don't know. I should have a second life to give an answer to your question. But I must say, and that is important, when I was a child, I had mystical experiences. When I was in the wood, when I was in the field, I had some very, very impressive mystical experiences. At the entry of my LSD book, I describe not an LSD experience, but an visionary experience I had as a child, about 10 years, 12 years.
And you mentioned in your book, LSD, My Problem Child, that it requires special preparation before taking LSD. And I know that, for example, Ernst Jünger and Aldous Huxley believed that LSD or similar visionary drugs were for the elite, for intellectuals, for artists. When you say that it needs special preparation, do you mean to say, do you imply that LSD is for the elite, is for only for intellectuals and artists? Or can you clarify what you mean by this special preparation?
I mean, this special preparation do not need a special scientific knowledge, mm-hmm. or historical knowledge. I mean that every normal people has the possibility to have an LSD experience, because LSD experience has something to do to the view as children. If the world of LSD is close to that of children, mm-hmm. and every human being has the possibility of mystical experience. I was very astonished when I was as a chemist studying, experiencing, make experiments, and in my work I came then to work on ergot alkaloids especially. I came to a substance that had the same, or produce the same experience that I had as a childhood. What for me, what a miracle for me. I believe that was something I had as a child, and now I have the possibility to produce it artificially, or not the right way, the right expression, to produce it.
Mm-hmm. On demand.
Yes.
And had you forgotten about these experiences as a child? Or
No, never.
You never forgot them?
It formed me. It impressed my whole life. The very first experience I had as a child, I had described it in the entrance of my LSD book.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very important thing that the visionary experience of the world, of our life, and so is nothing artificial. It is really inborn. It is in the subconscious of every human being, I believe. Because we have been children, everybody, and we have had this worldview.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to the vision of a child, we have the consciousness more. And this can be complementary. We have the consciousness, and we have this visionary experience of the world that gives a deeper, even a deeper experience of life.
Would you describe the visionary experience as direct perception without any symbolic interpretation or linguistic processing, that when one has this visionary experience or LSD experience, one is seeing the world direct, naked, without concepts, without words?
I think it is very difficult to describe, to put in words the experience. I think it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Huxley said we should create a new language for the mystical experience.
Mm-hmm. And I sometimes describe it as seeing the world as energy as opposed to seeing the world as matter, that it's not a materialistic experience, but it goes in the direction of spirit or energy. What do you think of that?
Yes, energy always, for me, is a bit technical.
But as William Blake used the term, for Blake, energy was spirit.
Yes. But nowadays, energy is mainly a physical thing. But yes, there is a vital force in, we can say, an universal consciousness, which you say is something like energy. I don't like it very much, energy. I would say it is a universal consciousness. And I think consciousness is one of the most meaningful words. Consciousness is really, we are human beings, we have consciousness. And it means that we are connected with the spiritual world, and the spiritual world, I would say, is universal consciousness.
And you mentioned earlier the use of LSD in psychotherapy. Would you care to comment on what you see as the possibilities? I know there are two types. For example, the European lower dose experience, which is described as psycholytic therapy. And then there's the psychedelic therapy current, for example, practiced now by Stanislav Grof and originated by Humphrey Osmond. And the psycholytic therapy was more Ronald Sanderson and Hans Karl Leuner. Could you comment on the use of LSD in psychotherapy?
Both approaches have advantages and has, I think, I would say that something, this one very strong dosage which is used by the American method is something is dangerous, but it can have also extraordinary.
The psychedelic therapy.
Psychedelic. And the other is maybe that you don't reach very deep, to go not in the necessary deed. But you make, in addition, you make, you speak, and you make maybe even use artificial environment. And therefore, I think for medicinal purposes, the European approach is better. And for mystical experience, you have the American process.
And also, you commented also in your book on the use of LSD as an aid to meditation. This is more of the psychedelic therapy, a deeper experience with a higher dose, or do you think that would also apply with more repeated lower doses as an aid to meditation?
Say it is a higher dose.
Higher dose.
But this must be very dangerous for every person needs have a higher dose. You need a very small amount, others need a very high dosage to have the full experience. And I think this procedure would be that you give a medium dose first and see how its reaction is, and then you can decide if you can give then for after preparation and what you need for a good experience, then you can use the higher dose.
And then you make sure that the person reacts well to the compound.
Yes.
What do you consider to be a medium dose, and what would be a high dose?
I would say a medium dose is 100 gamma. And a higher dose would say 250. So.
And a low dose would be under 100?
Yes, low dose of 50 micrograms.
50. And as I recall, with Sandoz Delicide, there were 25 microgram pills, no?
Yeah.
And that was designed as a stimulant.
Yes.
As an antidepressant type of stimulant?
No. Yes, also. But it was a little dose, and you can take 3 or 4 pills.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You can adjust it better. It's a lower dose.
And they were stable, these pills?
Oh, yes.
And then there were also ampules of 100 micrograms.
That was used.
Which could be injected or also swallowed.
Swallowed, that is the next thing. I don't need injected.
Right.
Same, you have the same activity ingested or swallowed. And it was mainly used for an aid in psychoanalysis. This 100 gamma is a very good dosage for this purpose.
On the end, in the medical context, because the effect of LSD is so long-lasting, can be 6 hours, 8 hours.
Yes.
That makes it a little complicated in the current context of medical practice. It's because the patient has to be supervised, of course, and it's a long time for the doctor to be working.
Yes, I have been asked to prepare an LSD with a shorter time of activity.
Well, in the way
possible. It was with psilocybin.
Right.
Then I could make a change in the structure with a lower, with a lower time of activity.
With psilocybin, the C74.
Yes.
The diethyl derivative.
Yes, but with LSD is not possible.
And do you think that psilocybin is also useful in psychotherapy in the way that LSD is?
Absolutely, I suppose.
And
you need 100 times more.
Yes.
Suppose. Because LSD is really extreme, is the highest active compound in psychiatry, of course, because with 1 gram you can make 10 to 20,000 doses.
Yes.
That is extraordinary.
And many people have commented on the supposed toxicity of LSD. Many people consider LSD to be dangerous and toxic. And, of course, there are some animal where full doses have been published. Your comments on the human toxicities as toxic compounds.
This compound 5 times old. Maybe you pass 20 doses available
human fatality.
Even they had LSD
Human beings own.
doesn't know.
And be therapeutic index.
Extraordinary.
Different. Of course, many of the compounds that are used in medicine are also toxic in the way alcohol is. If you increase the dose 5 or 10 times, possibly you come close to the... So really, in this sense, it's an extremely non-toxic compound.
Non-toxic, yes. And in general, compounds MDMA that are used now is about 1 to 3 or 1 to 4.
Yes.
Not 1 to 20 or 1 to 40.
Yes, and there are human fatalities known with that. Of course. Could you comment, Timothy Leary in 1965, in an interview in Playboy magazine, said LSD was the greatest aphrodisiac ever discovered in history. Could you comment on LSD as aphrodisiac?
It depends from the surroundings and of the preparation of the individual. The very first report of medicinal use of LSD, or which was then published. This man was tested especially for if he would have sexual ideas or visions. He gave him pictures and so on, and he said it is absolutely any exotic effect.
No erotic effect.
No erotic effect. Mm-hmm. But then Leary said it was the most powerful, and it depends really on the surroundings of the preparation and of the expectation. Mm-hmm. It is as has been said, LSD is can be compared with a microscope. It intensifies and it opens. It intensifies and all our thinking and our living, our impressions are intensified. The colors and the sounds, every senses are intensified, and so it depends how in that sort of surrounding you are. If you can have no effects, or you can extremely intensify these effects. As I can only say, we had the last meeting with Leary I had at Hamburg in the radio. We are invited for a discussion, and the very first question of the interviewer was about the sexual impulses of sexual
sexual enhancement
intensifying, yes, with LSD. And this lady was very interested in this question, the lady which interviewed us. And Leary said, oh, you know, when I was asked this question, that was asked by the magazine Playboy. And Playboy expected only the sexual response. And therefore, I was playing as I did play my whole life.
Yeah, and I have this interview, and it's quite interesting because Leary says in the interview something like, with a properly prepared LSD session, a woman invariably will have hundreds of orgasms under the influence of LSD. And then the interviewer asked him twice, and he wouldn't answer the question. Well, how about men? Can men have, how many orgasms can a man have with LSD?
Exactly these questions were in Hamburg, or was it this interview?
Also in the Playboy, and he wouldn't answer. They asked him twice, and he changed the subject. All he said was, well, I've made love every time I've taken LSD.
Meditation is a preparation for the mystical experience. The same goal that was aspired to and was attained in the Eleusinian mysteries. Accordingly, it seems feasible that in the future, with the help of LSD, the mystical vision, crowning meditation, could be made accessible to an increasing number of practitioners of meditation. I see the true importance of LSD in the possibility of providing material aid to meditation, aimed at the mystical experience of a deeper, comprehensive reality. Such a use accords entirely with the essence and working character of LSD as a sacred drug.